Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast. Welcome back to this episode. This is the second part of a double header. If you haven't heard the first, go back and listen to it. If you can't be bothered, that's all right. Just keep listening to this one, and hopefully you enjoy it. And don't forget, like and subscribe. I hate it when people say that. And you know, we got to highlight that the game, what it actually gave you. You know, you traveled the world because of basketball.
I have a poster up at work now that I tell the kids, use it for what it is. It's a game, and it can open up a lot of doors for you. And I've seen all these places in the world because somebody believed that I had a bit of talent in the game. I couldn't afford to do the things that I'd done through basketball. I couldn't go to college. College opened up a door for me to go to college to play. It opened up a door for me to come to Europe, and it's opened up even through work now. Basketball has been the one that's knocked on the door. Got approached about coaching, which had turned into a job through coaching, which had turned into working with more kids in schools, which has turned into teaching, which has turned into now I'm assistant principal of the school. And if you had asked me that 15, 20 years ago, I'd have lost every penny I had. No way am I doing that. But I mean, because of the basketball, it's allowed me to do a lot of different things from basketball. Absolutely. It's a vehicle.
And, we just got to also just highlight when we're talking about, that side of the Atlantic, we got to talk about Sandusky, where, I guess probably what I would say is you brought stapability. And brought a 7-winning season streak.
It's such a they approach you. They're in a lot of talent. Just need a bit of stability, bit of discipline, really, in the program. It's like I said, it's such a small world. When I was growing up, one of the guys I looked up to in Ohio was a guy named Scott May. I don't know if you remember him or not. He was the general manager at Giants when I was there. Scott May is from Sandusky. He played at the University of Indiana. He was on the last undefeated team, played for Bobby Knight, won national championship, went on and had an NBA career, played in Europe. He was from Sandusky. So it's just a small world. And I met him. I knew about him all growing up. And then through basketball, I got to meet him when I was at Manchester our last time. Mr. Cook was our owner. Scott May and Mike Woodson were the general manager, assistant general manager. And Mike's coaching at Indiana now. Scott's living in Indiana. But Sandusky opened up a lot of doors. The superintendent there just approached me about coming down and trying to rebuild. The program went from 4 wins to 22 wins in the first year. We got a couple of district championships. We won the sectionals 4 times, very successful. And it's just continued, which is nice because 2 of the guys who were on my staff, one is now the boys coach, varsity coach there, and the other one's the girls varsity coach there. So that's nice to branch off a little bit. Not from my tree, just how it worked out. And they're continuing what he's definitely continuing what he had. Because originally I wanted to do 10 years when I started coaching. I did 7. And that's the whole, just too much coming and going on. I had enough. I just wanted to step away for a little while. And the guy stepped in there and he just kept it going. And hopefully we can keep the stability and keep the program going where it needs to be. A lot of work was put into it, a lot of time, but it's definitely worth it.
And, you've touched on that. So let's talk about that, which is, and I think a lot of people can appreciate what you're saying, whereas you get to a certain point, whether it's you're in your 40s and you're playing, or you're in a career and you've been doing it a long time, you just get to a point where you just go, I've run my course now.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I'll never go back to it, not run this course to say, where this course to mean I'm done. I wouldn't say I'm done, but I'm satisfied with what's happened and what basketball's provided me and what I've attempted to give a little bit back to basketball. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm enjoying some time, getting to spend some more time with my family now. Just had a granddaughter a couple months ago, get to spend more time with them. My one daughter lives 10 minutes from here with Delilah, which is lovely. So it allows me to do those things that I think a lot of people take for granted. And if I was still involved in coaching, if I was still involved, I just wouldn't have the time. Then it would be unfair for me to keep doing it and not giving it the time that it deserves. That's why I stepped away.
Those fervidly looking for his notes here.
Oh, hey, this is Colin Irish. I've got 8 pages of notes in front of me. So let's just go to that the last part of your career where you went to France, Cholet Basket, and then you went back to Manchester for the Giants. At what point? What did Mick have to say to you? Was it Mick to get you to go to the Solent Stars?
No, I was living right in East. I was living really 10 minutes from Fleming Park, not even 10 minutes from Fleming Park. And I was kind of getting to the end. There was a couple of things that happened at that time. I went to Cholet, great experience. Treated us fantastic. Opened again. It was just didn't work out. Picked up a foot injury, had a stress fracture in my foot. When I came back, Joe Welton was still coaching in Manchester. Joe Welton was my first coach when I went to Manchester United. He approached me about coming up there. He said he was probably going to do 1, maybe 2 years to finish up the season with Manchester. Went there up and down, very talented team, but up and down. Hard to do that kind of thing 3 months into the season. And at the end of that season, Jimmy Brandon was, I don't know if you remember Jimmy Brandon or not. Jimmy Brandon was named the coach of Manchester. Joe left. I think Joe went to Germany, if I'm not mistaken. Something happened with management. I don't know, but all I knew is that Joe left. And I heard that it was not on great terms. Joe was a great coach and a good guy, just left. And then we went to Wembley. And then they either were going to announce or just announced that Jimmy Brandon was going to be the coach. And Jimmy approached myself and Mark Robinson at the time, because Mark was on the team. And Jimmy said, oh man, so like, hey, what's going on next season type of conversation. He goes, come and meet me at the hotel he was staying at, because we're all staying at the hotel right there at Wembley. He was staying somewhere else. And he said to come meet him at, let's just say 10 o'clock. So me and Mark drove from 30 minutes to London, went over to, he said, meet me in my room, get the room, knock on the door, no answer. Went downstairs, chilled for like 15, 20 minutes. Made a phone call, no answer. Hey, is he staying here? Yeah, what's his room? Knocked on the door, no answer. That's number one. Yeah, that's me and Mike, like, really? So that was the first thing. We had settled on the South Coast already. That was home. And then I was going through, do I want to play? I kind of spoke to Sheffield, kind of spoke to a couple other teams. Like, do I want to play? Do I really want to be on the road? And then Alan was involved with Solent. And he's like, man, why don't we just get together at Solent? Then Panji Granger came down because he was working for the engineering firm that he was working. He came down. Masai came down. I'm like, let's just go and have a good time. So used it, worked out, just stayed in shape. And Mick was involved, obviously. Bob Pauly was involved. And we were doing the whole Fun Schools fitness thing on the side. And that was pretty much me done at the top level. And then we went to Solent. I believe we were Division 3. Then we won that. We went Division 2. And then we're like, we're not going to go through this rigmarole going to, right? And I'm not doing that again. And then I wanted to stop playing when I was 40, and I did. When I was 40, then that was my last season. Everybody said, you got to play somewhere, you got to play somewhere. I said, no. In my mind, I said I wanted to stop playing at 40, and I did. And that was my last couple of years at Solent. Loved it. It was a lot of fun. Again, a lot of good guys that were just around. Joe Morant, Diamonds were involved. Everybody was involved, and it was the buzz of Solent, because that was a lot of fun too. That slowly built up where we were packing out Fleming Park. And again, the same thing was coming again. The momentum was building. If you want to go, I didn't want to go back to that level. I was good playing Division 1, Division 2, working out a couple of times a week. If we had a big game, maybe every day, every week, that was good. So again, a lot of fun. We had some success there. And it was good to bring the atmosphere back into Solent, because that was, again, the very first game I played in England was at Fleming Park when I was playing for Warrington. They had the Draper Tool Classic or something like that. John Draper was involved. And that was the very first game I played in Solent. And then the very last game I played was at Solent, at Fleming Park.
Oh, that's a nice way to end up. That is a nice way to end up, isn't it? You start and finish in the same place.
And
it's crazy.
You got to say that the Portsmouth fans are looking at the Solent Stars going, well, it's not quite the Portsmouth team, but it's still
kind of, because they came. Yeah. So then at the Fleming Park games, we'd have some of the Portsmouth fans, we'd have some of the Worthing fans come to the Fleming Park games.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
And Alan Cunningham, for the Solent Stars, I mean, he was player coach, is my understanding. And I mean, we're talking at the end of his career as well.
He was player coach at Worthing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's I'm trying to just work out his age at this. He was in his early 40s.
Yeah, I was gotta be pushing 70 now, 68. It's crazy to think. Yeah.
And let's not forget, look, I got a great stat for here. Alan Cunningham at 40 won the playoffs for the Bears and gets finals MVP at 40.
Yeah.
We've heard lots of stories where people are saying at Solent, he was like, I can come on and I'll give you the best 20 minutes I can give you.
Yeah. And he would. And he'd sometimes give us more than that if he felt like it. You know, yeah. He's one of the best players I've ever played with and or against.
Oh, wow.
Oh, absolutely.
So who are some of those players that you enjoyed playing with?
And can I add another part of this, a question onto this, which is, I know you said you felt Portsmouth were one of the best teams that first year that you played with in the UK.
No doubt.
There's I've got so many notes on you, Colin. I don't know where it is, but I wrote a note that one of the Manchester teams, that there's a huge argument that people are saying that one of those Manchester teams that you played for was arguably one of the greatest teams ever assembled in the BBL.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can't find it. I've been searching for all my paper. I can't find it.
Right. I wonder, was that the very first one with Will and Ed and Dave Lloyd and Kevin Penny and Spud and all those guys? That was a very good team too. Portsmouth team would have spanked us though.
Really?
I'm telling you, man, that Portsmouth team was, yes.
I think that settles the argument. Settles the argument.
Yeah.
Were there any players that you used to come up against in the league that you thought, oh, this guy? Like,
yes, man. You know, it used to drive me nuts. Do you remember Kevin St. Kitts?
No.
He played for Manchester. He played for Bracknell. Played for Thames Valley. You know, he had an up and down career, but just drove me nuts. He was always out. He was the one that he covered me, and he just drove me for whatever reason. He just drove me crazy. Nigel Lloyd, I remember Nigel.
Oh, Nigel Lloyd, yeah.
Walton Way, Lewis Young, Alton. I mean, so many. It's hard, man, to name so many great players. Cal Patrick Wells, I still think is one of the best men ever to come over there. Bontrager. Don't you remember a kid named Bubba Jennings? You talk about that game being 4 people deep at the Mountbatten Center. It might have been for that game, Bubba Jennings, he gave 60 to us.
Ooh.
He scored 60 on us. 59, 60 on us. Bubba Jennings, yeah. So,
ouch.
I mean, you talk about players playing against and playing with, man. There's so many that I've been fortunate enough to battle with and or against over the years that just, where do you stop? I'm sure I'm leaving somebody off too, and they're gonna be mad at me, but no offense to anybody, but Martin Clark, the Lloyd brothers, all 3 of them. I mean, there's just so many players, man. It's hard to picture out some of the favorites. Some of the ones that gave me had Tony Holly, Tony Dorsey, and the list just goes on and on and on. Mark Robinson.
And there was some players that you've mentioned, and from very, very vague memories, you obviously battled these players quite hard, but in that same respect, like you say, when you got off the court afterwards, it's actually all like, I won't say it makes you a better player, but when you have those battles and you're warring with someone, it's actually better, isn't it?
We had a rule, got pretty close with Pete Scantlebury, right? Another one, Scants, unreal. But we had a rule that no matter what happened, win, lose, or draw, we're going out after the game, unless we had another game the next day.
Oh, wow.
That's how it was. And that's what we did till we had children, and then things changed up a little bit. But that gives you a perfect example. Pete, we would go at it. And then we'd meet up afterwards, and then we'd do what we got. Where we going? But my daughter taught me a lot of that, because I was a horrible loser, obviously. I think we all go through phases like that. And Chloe, my eldest daughter, was starting to walk and starting to talk, and we'd lost a big semifinal, quarterfinal game at the Mountbatten Center, actually. I can't remember the game now, but all I remember is going to the bar the reception after the game, and she didn't care if we won, lost, or draw.
Oh.
She just came run up to me, gave me a hug, and that right there was just like, you know what? That's the game that I was telling you about. It's just a game. Don't lose your mind. Because sometimes I'd lose my mind, but I'd be very upset if we lost the game. So, but that was a change moment for me to realize, really, at the end, she don't care if we won or lost. She's just glad to be seeing me. And I still remember that moment where I was like, give what you can. We ain't losing. We're playing. You're not missing shots on purpose. You're not throwing the ball into the stands on purpose. You're not shooting air balls on purpose. But it's just a game, and take it for what it's worth.
It's perspective, isn't it?
Wow.
Yep.
Perspective there. It's really interesting you said that, because funny enough, I thought it last night. So Portsmouth played, and it was 86-86, goes into overtime. I think Portsmouth lose by 4. I think it was 4.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so much disappointment. But in my mind, I just thought, we've just watched arguably the greatest game in Ravelin. That's the new sports centre. It's called Ravelin, probably in Ravelin.
Okay.
So far.
Yeah, so far, probably the best
And
game.
it was like, it's just perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even though we lost, we just watched probably the best game so far here.
Yeah, I mean, you were livid when it was going off, and was that the right call?
It stinks at the time, doesn't it? It hurts. It's like, oh my God. Really, really hurts and stinks at the time. But then, something's got to put you in perspective. A lot of people struggle. We lost a lot of loved ones along the journey. We lost guys that I played against and with. No, it's easy because I'm old now to look back at it, but it puts so much stuff in perspective, man.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a perspective is a key word there, isn't it? And just want to, again, just talking about perspective of NBA players that you've worked with, because you mentioned before that you did some work with the Cavs.
I don't know if you remember the name Bob Donewald. Bob Donewald coached at Leicester. I think he coached at Derby, going back towards the end of my playing days, and came back here, and I was doing some things with the Boys and Girls Club of America, just working with some youth and things. And I had a meeting with the chief executive at this day, and he's like, I'm really, really trying to do some things with the Cavs. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I'm trying to call down. I can't get a hold of anybody. I'm like, who's on their staff? Bob Donewald. All right. So I'm like, man, dial the number right now. Ask for Bob Donewald. Tell him who it is. And I'm on speakerphone with the chief executive of the Boys and Girls Club. Can I speak to Bob Donewald, please? 1 second. Who's this? I give him my name. He gets on the phone. He's like, excuse my language. I'm not going to say it. Where the are you? What is going on? So from that, and then Bob was he was the assistant coach for the Cavs at the time. And how the NBA works is that the head coaches just leave the players to gravitate to whoever assistant coach they want to. So they had this young kid that he gravitated to him named LeBron. So got close with Bob. He's like, man, you got to come and start working out with him, which turned into a couple other players that came and worked out with him. And I mean, he's 18, 19 years old at the time, and he was unreal. I remember saying at that time, he used to come home, not come home because he stayed for a little while. He was living in half-hour. But man, come to the house, so I got to work out. And he'd always come back to our home rather, and then he'd say, man, I'm so sore. I'm like, how can you be that sore from working him out? I'm like, he goes, you'll find out. A couple weeks later, we go to the gym, and at that time, we had to basically beat him up. I get the ball, beat me up. He was 18 years old, man. And every single drill he did at that time, it was like the 7th game with 2 minutes to go, and he was going to win it. And I'm like, this kid could be, and Bob kept saying, this kid's going to be really good, really good, really good. I'm like, come on, man. Really good, really, really, really good, really good. I'm like, come on, man. And then I went and got involved, worked him out. He, in turn, some other NBA players came to town, got the opportunity to work out some guys that played in the NBA. It was a different experience, to say the least, working at those guys at that level. I may have thought I was a decent player, or in the Cleveland era, I'm considered one of the better players to ever come out of Cleveland in my time. And no comparison. I was at the Cleveland State. So at that time, LeBron was in high school. He was playing his games at college campuses, and I'm sitting at the game with a couple of my buddies, and there's a guy right behind me, and he ain't that good. He ain't there. This is just, I wish would have gave it to him. I'm listening to it. I'm sitting right in front of him. My buddy's looking at me, and he's just going. I said, turn around and said, listen, man, leave the kid alone. And by the way, I am Irish, and he would have busted my you-know-what. So leave him alone. He did not say another word the rest of the game. So that was one of them. A couple other guys. Chris Paul came in with them. Melo came with them over the course of the years. It was that was a great experience. So we did that for a few years. Bob's now coaching, I believe, at Mississippi State. He went to Brazil. He went to China and coached. And yeah, he's doing well. So that opened up that door. Got involved with coaching, and again, that's where To the Hoop came back in. Then returned to camps. Got involved with some local high schools. Then To the Hoop basketball camps. We're going to high schools over the summer. Did that for a few years, and then it just took its course, and now just went a different avenue. Got a couple doors opened up through coaching and whatnot. And I wasn't going to Brazil. I wasn't going to go to China. This was home. Lost enough miles basketball wise, and so it's an honor anytime you're involved with working out people like that.
Well, I mean, are some of the greatest players of all time, all stars.
Yeah, I just worked with LeBron. That's the deal.
It was cool. It's cool though. It's nice.
But LeBron isn't Portsmouth Basketball FC Club, is he? No, he's not.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No.
So, like, what's like LeBron like as a person? Like,
I was involved with the workouts for maybe 3 years, so they lovely. It's hard to tell what the 18, 19-year-old young man's going to be who's had everything, you know what I mean? But very, very humble, actually, very cool, nice guy in my involvement with him. And he didn't the things he didn't appreciate, which I could expect. He would just he would get a whole facility. Okay, we got the facility. I'm coming to work out for a couple hours. Do anything for kids, but he didn't like the people coming and taking pictures and different things. But he'd do anything for kids back then. And look at his career, man. But I think he's to me, in my experience with him, a very cool guy.
Yeah,
very nice dude. Yeah,
and just touching on that, and I think when we're younger, it is, especially with technology nowadays where you got your phone in your pocket, quick, have a picture. But I think as you get older and you mature with that, I mean, I've seen famous people before and it's just like, I'm going to leave them alone. Like, they don't want me to go, hey, you can have a picture everywhere they go. It's just like,
same way. I never asked him to take a picture. I never asked him to sign a thing. I just don't, he doesn't want to be bothered with that.
Yeah.
But that was around the time as well when I guess LeBron was leaner, because at one point when he went to Miami, he got big. Like he bulked.
Yeah.
He bulked.
I mean, he was a young kid then. He was 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, and he was. People always forget sometimes how lean LeBron was when he came into the league and stuff. It's like, he was a lean guy, and then he got ripped.
Yes, he hit the weights. And he matured into his body.
But I guess in Miami, he probably got, it's fair to say, maybe too big at one point, and then at that point, then when we went back to Cleveland the second time, he lost a little bit.
Down.
He leaned up just that little bit and got his athleticism back. But that's going to sustain his body, obviously.
He looks after his body, otherwise he wouldn't be doing what he's doing now. You see him play now, man. It's like he's the best player in the court. He's 40 years old. He's unbelievable.
It was you were talking earlier about the people looking after their body and stuff like that, and you got to consider LeBron
as
number
one there, surely.
The greatest player to look after his body.
Yes, it seems like he spends millions looking after his body. He has the chamber and all that stuff. He spends millions. And I understand how these other kids wouldn't say, what can we do? Why don't you ask, what's he doing? He's got to be doing something to be doing what he's doing at this age. You would think the young kids now would ask, how can I sustain his intensity? What do you do? They probably couldn't even do what he does. Because those guys are on a different level, man. Those LeBrons, Kobe's, the great Jordan, they're at a completely different level now.
I mean, he's a unit, isn't he? 6'9". He's a big guy anyway. Man. And to have put his body through that consistently 80 odd games a season, I mean, that's it is. Going back to what you said earlier, Colin, just about how kids picking up so many injuries and the punishment that they put their bodies through at such a young age, and what he would have gone through doing that, and he's still doing that.
He's still doing it. Incredible.
And one of the things that I've kept my eye on for LeBron for probably about the last 3 seasons, and just working out the maths is he going to hit 40,000 points? And it was like, if he keeps going, he's going to hit this. Because normally you see that trajectory start going down as they get into their like 80s.
His numbers, he's still doing it.
Yeah.
See, the greatest. Yeah, he's probably the greatest of you guys because you're on a now generation, isn't it? Aren't you?
Well, we're 80s, so I mean, I still like the bad boys.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a bad boy guy. But who's the greatest player?
MJ,
probably.
MJ is the blueprint for you know, I don't think you can have a GOAT because there's too many categories and there's too many what ifs.
Yeah,
I think Jordan is the blueprint because he brought that the fight from the physicality of the 80s basketball, and then had the athleticism and brought that into it.
Yeah,
and then obviously, you know, the branding and the timing and everything as well. It just all
worked out perfect for him, didn't it?
And his attitude and the way he brought his players. You look at some of the players and think you had to play to a certain level or he just wouldn't trust you with the ball. Like that, which wasn't, you know, it's maybe arguably not ideal for teamwork, but at the same time, it made his players better.
Yeah.
Everyone around him, you got to rise up.
Yep, I agree.
But the one thing I'm not a huge fan of with the whole GOAT debate is I don't think people say, oh, MJ would have beaten LeBron. It's just it's two different complete eras. Yeah. So it's like
LeBron's the most complete basketball player.
Imagine LeBron in the 90s. I mean,
he would play. That's what you can see. So could in my opinion, could LeBron have played in the 90s? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could Jordan have played now? Absolutely. Should Jordan might have 50 points now with the rules they are today?
Yeah. 100%.
If he had that same intensity and that same drive in today's game and playing now, because back then you could hand check, you could force a player left, you could force a player right by putting your hand on their waist. They're not allowing that right now. If he had that same intensity, it would be scary to see what he would do now. Again, and what's great? You put Wilt Chamberlain, would he play now? He averaged 50 points a game, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So if he had an off night of 30 and 40, that means he's going to have 70 and 80 the next couple of nights to even out the average. So it's unfair to say who the greatest is.
Yeah, and even if you put Kareem now, bring him fast forward, what would Kareem be doing now?
Well, yeah.
Would he be as effective? Olajuwon would definitely be as effective.
But how can those guys cover the 3-point shooters, though?
Yes, exactly.
So it's a completely different game.
Completely
different game. People talk about Wilt's free throw percentage. Wilt was dunking his free throws when he first came to the NBA. Okay? Then he was forced to shoot them. That's why his percentage went way down. So you can't compare eras to me. They're all great.
When we're talking eras, Colin, the one thing actually we haven't touched on that's one of Paul's favourite subjects is referees and the ruling.
Yeah.
Have you had any experiences with interesting experiences or interactions with referees? Should we say?
Absolutely. I think anybody who plays the game has interesting interactions with referees.
How do you think that's changed?
Noah Malone, I don't know if you know his name or not. He refed a lot of our games. We've been changing emails. We used to give each other such a hard time. Absolutely, yeah. You always have memories, good, bad, or indifferent, with referees. You think they don't like you, but again, at the end of the day, when you're older, you realize they make mistakes like everybody else, and you hate them at that time. I can't believe he did that to us again. But I like banter with the referees. I only got a couple technicals, surprisingly, but I did get a few, but not as many as I thought I would get. Maybe didn't get any as coach. So
I think you could get away with more.
That's what I was going to say. How has it changed, do you think, the refereeing? Because, I mean, certainly in the NBA at the moment,
because they're so scrutinized, man. We could get away with more, but right now, if a referee makes a mistake, they post it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Back in the day when a referee made a mistake, you yelled at them, you cussed them out, they yelled at you, they cussed you back out. Okay, let's go on. Nowadays, a referee makes a crucial mistake down the stretch. They're on television here, or they're on YouTube within an hour, within the half an hour of the game, or half an hour of their mistake.
And players aren't actually, it's not as common for players to be talking to the ref as well. If the ref makes a bad call and you say, come on, ref, bang.
That's a technical.
Yeah, they're getting seen that, and you think,
there's definitely be a banter between the referees and the players.
It should be part of the passion, shouldn't it?
I think that's part of it too. But referees have to learn to take it too. Sometimes the referee would say, like you say, ask, man, what kind of call was that? And they turn and say, shut up. You shouldn't talk to anybody like that. Don't tell me to shut up, man. And then it goes from there.
Yeah. And that was one of the things, like I was a ref for just 10 years. And what like I tried to do is allow players to have passion. So when something happened, they went, oh, come on. I'm like, I'm not going to tee you up for that, because to me, that's just passion, where I have seen tees go out for a player just, you know, and I wasn't ever a fan of that.
You couldn't pay me enough to ref, man. You couldn't pay me enough to ref.
You know what, Colin? I did a couple of games in a row, and I remember there's one game and Bognor, which is near Portsmouth. And the coach was just going on and on and on and on, and I was just like, this isn't worth the money. Like, this isn't worth the time. And I remember thinking, I could be home with my kids, I'm reffing this game, and you're giving me crap for over it. And it wasn't even a National League game, it was a friendly, and I was like, oh man, I'm done. Yeah. Absolutely done.
Yes.
Yeah, well, just think of all those refs that Mick used to have to shout at.
Mick would shout at him. They shot back at Mick, and they'd laugh and have a beer afterwards in the pub.
Do you know what he said? He said to me once. He goes, good out. I've done so much in basketball. I want to die in a basketball court. That's my dream now. And I was like, Mick, I do not want to be the ref that
when that happens,
tease you up.
Yeah.
It was like, and I was like, Mick, don't say that, like, because that's not fair on the ref or whoever it is.
Before you said, I don't think Mick will ever get the credit he deserves for basketball.
Agreed. Yeah.
I don't think he will. And again, it shows how basketball's treated, not just in England. You know, that Mick, like just throwing out two names, Jimmy Rogers, those guys, they deserve to be up there with everybody. What they have given back to basketball. There's probably somebody in the North, because I was more involved in the South, that is doing the same thing there, that will never get the credit that they deserve. Mick being one of them, like I said, Jimmy being, those are the two ones that ring clearly to me, that will never get what they deserve in the basketball. What they have done for so many kids and now adults in basketball.
Yeah, and that's just highlighted in, well, obviously in the way we're talking now. Like without Mick, without Colin, we're not doing this podcast.
No, not at all.
Simple as that.
Not at all. And it was as you just hit it on the head there, Colin. Really, it's not just about the game of basketball. It's about the actual youth and the culture and everything surrounding that.
Life in general.
Yeah, because you know, being part of a team and being part of something, and actually thinking I am part of something, and this means something. That is certainly in this day and age when a lot of people are lost in that and maybe separated from groups.
Lost in togetherness. You know, the lost in disagreeing.
Yep.
Lost in disagreeing and have a conversation. Just because I don't agree with you don't mean I don't love you. We're just lost in the whole, you can't have a conversation unless it's that way. But there's another way too. So.
Yeah, pick up a ball, go one-on-one. If there's no blood, there's no foul.
Yeah. Let's go.
Hey, that's how Colin was brought up. There's no blood, no foul.
That's right.
Colin, sorry, I've just got this picture that I've got here. Let me show you this bit. This is when you've won the playoffs 3 years in a row. This one here.
Well, that one again? I was saying earlier, a guy named Monster Ahmed from Leicester, actually. He was a Leicester fan. That was a lot of those games. He may have, I don't know if he took that picture or got it from somewhere, but like I said, he turned it into a clock for me that I still have it hanging up in my basement.
That's a great picture. The only thing I was looking at, that trophy, that is made of glass. Now I know the current BBL trophy. Do you know what I'm going to say?
No, but I have a feeling. But go ahead.
Do I know what happened
to the glass?
Yeah. Like, do you know how many times that they've had to replace that trophy because it was glass?
So what I've heard, whether this is true or not, Trevor Gordon. Remember Trevor Gordon? He was playing for Burnley at the time with Tony Dorsey, and they won it. And the owner of the team, I want to say, was a guy named Harry Rubaleski. I think that was his name. And Trevor was going through negotiations or whatever, and they had an argument in his office, and Trevor threw it at him, and it fell and crashed. True or not, I don't know. That's one of the rumors and one of the myths out there. Whether that's true or not, Trevor broke it. I don't know if he threw it at him, or if he spiked it like a touchdown, or if he dropped it. I don't know.
Oh, dear.
But I would like to find that out what happened. Because
well, it's not glass anymore.
It's not glass anymore. No.
I know it was definitely broke. I know one fact, it was definitely broken after Birmingham won it. Whether that's true or how it broke, I don't know. That's one of the stories out there.
I think they've had a few glass trophies over the years, and it's
only a glass trophy. It's going to slip in it. Not only is it glass, sometimes they have the glass and they have the ball balancing on top of this thing like this.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah.
Yeah, they've gone to like a more, what would you call it, classical cup.
Yeah, it's more like a classic sort of cup. And
I don't have many regrets as far as basketball and all that goes, but one of my regrets was not bringing that team back to try the for four. Because I was Alan's last year of coaching, and when Alan took the job originally, he's like, I wanted to be the first player that he signed. So Alan was a player coach at Worthing, and then that was his last year coaching, the 3-peat year. And then Worthing approached me about coaching. I said, well, if I'm coaching, the first person I want to sign was Alan. So then Alan came back, and then we decision was made to split up the team. Some of mine, some of others as well. And I wish we'd have because everybody else came back. I'd be interested to see if we could have done 4. That was one of my regrets I have for not thinking big picture then. But hey, life goes on, and I hope everybody's well. But I think about that when I see that picture sometimes.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yep. Because then Cleve left, Herman left. I'm not sure they ever played again in the BBL after that. I know Herman came back, had a very good coaching career in Baltimore. And I think he's still coaching and mentoring there, last I heard. He's doing well. And Cleve went back to the West Coast, I heard. But yeah, I don't think they ever came back and played after that.
Wow, that's the way to end it.
So, Colin, like, this is pretty much my last question I've got for you. Who is your personal favorite coach you've ever played for or played under?
Joe Walton. I really enjoyed my time with Joe Walton when I came over. He introduced me to so many things, not about the game, but life. Because I mean, coming to England was a completely different experience for me. Joe helped me a lot transition to there. And I've got to say Alan, but Alan was a player coach because he pushed me to another level. As hard as I may have thought I've been working, it wasn't good. It wasn't hard enough. And he took me to another level. And those two, I would have to say. And again, he didn't get enough credit for his coaching abilities for whatever reason, probably because he was so successful, and probably because we talked a lot of junk or whatever. We let them know that we're here and we're so I don't know. But I never thought that Alan got enough credit for his coaching abilities, whatever the reason. But those two stick out to me, as far as my favorite coaches.
Amazing.
Wow. Well, that leaves me with my final question.
Yes, sir.
And I have teed you up already, Colin. You know what's coming. Top 5 players.
Oh, you do all-time first? All-time one?
Oh, we can do the all-time one.
That's what you usually do first.
Yeah, I'll do the all-time one. You don't know about this one. You got one shot. It's the clutch shot, the game winner.
Mm-hmm.
The ball goes to them. Who is it? Who's it going to be? Who is the one?
It can be anyone you've played with or anyone you've watched. Anyone.
We're going to run. We won a couple games like this. We're going to run one, me come off the pick and roll, looking to create down the middle, and we're going to kick it to Al to the corner to hit the jumper off the double pick.
Really? That's it. And you're going to hit, you're putting that pass.
I can still see that happening because we ran it so many times. We ran it so many times with different people being in different positions. We had that same play for years. Even when I was coaching at the high school level, I put it in. Even when I was coaching at AAU tournament, I put that play in. Yeah.
And that's pass that ball, kick it out, and then just run back on D because that's going in. Done.
Yeah. We won a lot of games running simple play. That simple one pop. We even had a play called Bud Light, we used to call it, if we needed a 3. Yeah, we'd run one of those. At every level I've coached at, whether they're girls and boys, I put that play in.
If you're going if you're going NBA player as like most clutch for that one shot, who is it? Jordan. It's pretty much the most synonymous name.
Decision making, not necessarily shot. Decision maker.
Oh.
You know, because if you look back at some of the old films of him, he down the stretch, man, I can still see him telling Steve Kerr, be ready, John Paxson, be ready in the timeout, and boom, they're hitting the shot.
That's so funny, that is, because it's like, he's like, Jordan's trying to be a bit more subtle about it, and you just got Steve Kerr screaming, I'll be ready, I'll be ready.
Yeah, you've seen it.
Yeah.
You've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just make him not, if he wants to, if you want to shoot it, make a decision.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're five.
Five and Pine.
Five and Pine. You're 5 players.
Five what?
The 5 player. You got to pick your all-time 5 favorite players, and they can be, again, people you played with. Favorite players. And it can be anyone in the NBA. It could be anyone you played with.
Wow.
5, and then 1 on the bench for Pine.
We do have a leaderboard that we keep with this as well.
We do.
Allen's got to be my favorite. One of my favorites. I got to put him on there.
Wow.
Alan Cunningham.
Absolutely.
I don't think you can open a book on British basketball and not see Alan Cunningham's name.
Impossible. If you're talking about success, trophies, how can you? I mean, everybody wants to talk about rings and trophies and wins. If that's what it's all about. You can't open up a book and not read about him and how many he's won. The crazy thing is, man, I was telling a story a couple weeks ago about, you know, we won a lot together. I was fortunate enough to, after our first year in Manchester, me and Alan played, spent a lot. How many did you win? I don't even know how many things we've won. It's crazy to think, but it's the truth.
Do you want me to tell you?
If you want to.
I'm going through my notes. I'll finish with that.
You finish with that. So that's the number 1.
So Alan Cunningham, 1.
Now, golly.
You can pick anyone. You can.
Ralton Way. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember Ralton Way. He was unreal. He was played for Murray. Bontrager. I'm going off England right now. I'm going all England. Larry Dassey.
Larry Dassey.
Ugh. Incredible. Okay, so what do we need now? A little 2-guard. I need 2 more people. So I got Allen, Steve, Bontrager.
Yeah, you need 2 more. You need 1 on the 5 and 1 on the bench.
Steve Bontrager was just nuts, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like I remember when he was at Kingston, and he was like
unreal.
The 3-point BBL king, wasn't he?
Unbelievable.
It was one way.
I heard, was it true or not? I don't know if it's true. So he went back. He went to Oral Roberts. I heard this just recently, actually, and his wife or him had a huge lottery win. A big lottery win or something. Like that. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. You hear all these different things over the years. You don't know if they're true or not. And he kind of just stepped away a little bit because I guess he had a huge lottery win. Hopefully it's true. Nothing but love there. Good for you. So we got. I tell you another favorite that doesn't get enough credit. Nigel Lloyd.
Nigel Lloyd, yeah.
Man, he was unbelievable. Is that 5 yet? That 4 or 5?
That's 5.
That's 5.
Who's on the bench?
Who's on the bench? Who you relegating to the bench? But they're still in your bar.
Whilst Colin's thinking,
I'll be on the bench.
Oh, I love it.
I'll be on the bench. I'm fine.
I love that.
Got to put himself in.
Well, Colin, we said we'd grace you with, you could do 1 for the BBL and yourselves and 1 for the NBA if you wanted.
Oh, man.
Who would that be?
We're doing an NBA one.
Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Wilt, Chamberlain. Fifth one is so many great players, man. Okay, we'll give it to Pete Maravich. How's that?
Oh, Pistol Pete.
Yeah, just thought I'd throw that one out there. I was a fan.
I was wondering if you're going to put Magic in.
I was going to, but you know, I'm Magic coming off the bench with me, like me.
I put Magic down there.
Love that.
Magic.
I love that.
I just stripped the other ones. I stripped Magic. I can't put them on there.
That's a strong team.
Oh man.
You know what? I'm just going to go back to talking about Steve Bontrager. I've actually been actively looking to get in touch with Steve Bontrager to try and get him on the podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you know, he was like the Portsmouth. I don't know, maybe villain's not the right word, but he was the one.
Oh yeah, that's the right word.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's the right word.
Yeah.
He gave it to us many a times.
Yeah.
You talk about somebody who talk a lot of junk.
Oh really?
Oh man, vicious. And there's nothing you can do because he's giving it to you. Nothing. Yes.
Yeah, he had the vintage crew cut.
Yes.
And I've said this on another podcast, but you know, my brother and a few mates, they said to me, Paul, if you get the crew cut, you'll better hit 3-pointers like Steve Montrager.
Don't do it.
No, I did do it at the time.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
But,
Don't think it's in the hair, man.
It wasn't. It definitely wasn't in the hair.
I'm sure when I did
You
it,
understand that.
I'm sure when we did it, next time we saw you, you were just like, what have you done?
I remember my mum was
honouring
like,
Steve
"What?
Montrager.
You look like a little thug. What are you doing?"
Oh dear.
You said you're
Where did
going
we
to
go?
give Colin his stats. You're going to give him how many
Oh, I
wins
can
he's
do.
made.
I just wanted to ask Colin one last thing with these teams, because Colin has been a coach and a successful coach. Who would his all-time favorite coach be? Not that you've played, like if you had to put into these teams, like your Five and Pine, who would be
Kevin. That was a great coach. Kevin Cato, the late Kevin. Fantastic coach, man.
Yeah.
Good dude. Again, rest in peace. And I'd have Mick. I'd have Mick as his assistant.
Oh wow.
Mickey B's in on the board. Well, look, Colin, thank you so much for.
No, man, thank you guys so much. Been an honor. Thank you guys for giving me even a thought. Thank you for putting this all together, and hopefully we can do it again sometime. Would love to.
Oh, amazing. Like, you know, again, thank you for gracing coming on the podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
I would go as far as to say from our perspective, you know, having Colin on the show is probably, you know, the pinnacle of this podcast, just for me personally,
yeah.
so far.
Both
Thank
us,
you,
no,
guys.
no
Appreciate
question.
it.
Not
No question.
that you would know this, but at the beginning of this year, I should have said this at the beginning. At the beginning of this year, Mark said to me, if you could get anyone on the show, like reachable, who you think might be reachable, who would it be? And I had a top 4. We've had 2 of them on the show.
Yep.
And the 2 that left, one of them was Colin Irish.
No, thank you.
So
Appreciate it.
shall I say who the 4th one is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Michael Jordan doesn't listen to this, so you know.
No, it's Alan Cunningham was the 4th one. So
Okay.
we've only got Alan Cunningham to go, but
Yeah.
I've tried to reach out. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's February and we've hit, you know, 3 of our goals, huge goals. So like, yeah, personally, this is just an absolute huge honor for you to grace us. So thank you very much.
Feelings mutual, man. Thank you.
So let me go through Colin's stats before we finish it. So
boy.
Just so you can reminisce.
did you want the music at the same time?
Yeah.
That's on you. I'm just here.
No. I mean, there's a long list. The music's not that long.
Hey, that's a long list. So we're talking about Colin Irish, 4-time All-Star BBL. We are talking about BBL trophy winner, BBL Cup winner twice, BBL playoff winner 4 times, BBL league winner 3 times. And, you know, highly thought of the name Colin Irish is throughout the UK.
Thank you very much again, my man. Anything we can do, or I can do this side, please don't hesitate to reach out. God bless. Thank you guys. Thank all people that supported us and me throughout the years. Living in England, it's a beautiful thing. I'll never forget those memories. Children born there. Obviously, my wife is English. Without basketball, I never would have met her. And just God bless everyone, and good, better, and different. Hope you guys are all well. Look after each other, and can't thank you enough. And like I'm here if you need it for anything.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Colin Irish.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
See you guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll speak to you soon. I've been Mark.
I've been Paul.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark and Paul, take it easy, my man. You guys look after each other. Best luck with everything. Keep it going.
Thanks,
Thank you, Colin.
All right.